بینندگان عزیز سیمای آزادی، به برنامه گفتگوی ویژه ما خوش اومدین. امروز خوشوقتیم که یک مصاحبه اختصاصی داریم با یک شخصیت برجسته بین‌المللی که طی بیش از 20 سال اخیر بلاوقفه حامی مجاهدان اشرف و مبارزه مردم ایران در راه آزادی بوده و بهای اون رو به تمام و کمال پرداخته. مبارزه و حمایتی که حتی داشت به قیمت جون اون تموم میشد. بله، میهمان امروز ما پروفسور آلخوویدال کوادراس هستند، رئیس کمیته بین المللی در جستجوی عدالت، نایب رئیس اول پیشین پارلمان اروپا، شخصیتی که همه ایرانی‌های آزادیخواه با ایشون بسیار آشنا هستند و ما بسیار خوشبختیم که اولین گفتگوی اختصاصی سیمای آزادی از بعد از سوء قصد در مادرید رو با ایشون اینجا انجام خواهیم داد. Dear Mr. Vidal Quadras, welcome to the INTV, Iranian National Television, and thank you for joining us. We are very honored to have you for the first exclusive interview of INTV with you after the terror attack, and it's a pleasure for me to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. It's always a pleasure to be in this channel.
And first of all, I would like to ask you about your recovery after the attack. How is it going on?
Well, it has been a long recovery because it has taken about 6 months to recover. The doctors have said I have recovered very quickly. My impression is that it has been very long, you know, but of course that depends on the point of view, you know. But this recovery has had a physical part. After I was shot, of course I couldn't speak, I couldn't swallow, I couldn't walk. But all this physical recovery has been very well mastered by the medical team that has, of course, has taken care of me. My family also has been essential and extraordinary help, and many friends from the NCRI and PMOI that have visited me at home when I still did not go to the street because I was in a home hospitalization when I went back home after 16 days in hospital. So the physical recovery, I can say it's 90% satisfactory. You know? I hope to be 100% soon. Then there is the psychological part, you know? The brain, the mind. You know? And this has been quite hard, frankly, because they call it post-traumatic shock, you know? And it takes a great effort to recover of this because you have anxiety, you have depression, anguish, but with medical treatment and also the help of many people, my wife, my children, my friends, I think that I can say that I am also quite recovered. So I've been lucky. I am alive because of a miracle, no? I suppose that thousands of PMOI praying for me that had an effect, you know? And also many Catholic friends of mine, no? I made a joke to my friends of PMOI that they both were praying to a God, but in fact they were all praying to the same God because at the end it worked.
Yeah, and we wish you a full recovery very soon. 100%.
Thank you.
And next question would be about the events. You described them in the press conference and after that maybe in Paris, but I would like you to recount all the events of that day in November in Madrid for our viewers in Iran once again, please.
Well, I was back home walking because I've been walking in the park to be healthy. When you are a veteran, you must keep active and do exercise because that makes life longer. Eh? So I was going back from the park to my home, and this hitman came close to me and spoke to me and said in Spanish, "Hola, señor," means hello, sir. And I turned my head. And then he wanted me to turn back to shoot me in the neck, which is mortal, no, as you know. But that is when the miracle happened, because apparently I did not turn my head vertically, but I inclined my head in an angle, and he shot, but of course, because of the position of my head, I didn't get the bullet in the neck, but in the jaw. Mm-hmm. So the bullet went into the jaw here and went out here. And that's how I saved my life. And there were a lot of people in the street because it was a holiday in Madrid. So the hitman, he shot just once and flied away with a helmet. He had a motorbike helmet and took a motorbike and escaped. And then I was in the street bleeding a lot. I half lost my consciousness, and the people in the street helped me until the police arrived and the ambulance. Then I was taken to hospital, and fortunately I was taken to a hospital where there is one of the best surgeons in Spain for maxillofacial surgery, you know. And I had surgery immediately. Then I was 4 days in sedation and with a pipe to breathe. So after 4 days I woke up, but I thought it was the same day, you know. And my family were there, my wife, my children were there. And something quite frightening happened because I couldn't move. Yeah. I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. And then I thought that I've been paralyzed for life, no? And imagine the feeling, no? Because I couldn't move. Yes. And then the doctors came in, the surgeons. "Oh, Alejo, you have waken up. Wonderful. You can breathe." And I could not speak, of course. I could not move. They were in good mood. They were smiling, you know. And I was there thinking that I would be paralyzed for life. So I thought, why are they so happy? Because in my condition. But I couldn't say anything. And then one of them said to me, what's the matter with you? Because he saw my face, no? And I couldn't speak. So with my eyes, I did like, okay. And they even laughed more. And they said, no, you cannot move because you have been 4 days in sedation and with a pipe. And so in half an hour, you will start moving, don't worry, that's normal. Then the relief was extraordinary. And yes, after 20 minutes, half an hour, I started to move my arms, my legs. But this first impression was terrible. No?
But thank God that we have you now walking, talking very good. But one part you did not mention was that in the ambulance, what prompted you to write the word Iran on the mobile.
Yeah.
It's imaginable for me. It's
Yeah,
extraordinary.
Yes.
In that situation with such an injury.
Yeah. When I was in the ambulance, I lost consciousness. Then consciousness came again. You know, there were some periods of time where I was not conscious, but there were some other times that and then in one of these periods I was conscious. I thought, God, I must say immediately who has organized and prepared this attack, because if not, there can be wrong interpretations with problem. So I took my smartphone, and because I could not say a word now with all this was destroyed and the blood, you know. So I wrote Iran, and I showed it to the team in the ambulance. Just from the ambulance, I said, well, I wrote it's Iranian regime. No?
I think this move has changed the course of events.
After a few hours, the Minister of Interior and the police classed this attack as terrorism. So it went to the National Court that deals with big crime. No? And it's and now I have the status in Spain, well, in Spain in general, no, of protected person, because they can try again, you know. So I am protected in Spain by the Spanish police, and when I travel, I am also protected by, in this case, Berlin police, which, by the way, I thank you very much to them, because they are giving me a very efficient and competent protection.
You've taken such a big risk in your political career to help and to support the movement of the Mujahideen, of the NCRI, of the Iranian people for their freedom. You've paid a heavy price. You told it right now. If someone asks you, for example, another parliamentarian, what motivates you to do it again, to continue with this movement, to defend them, to support them, to go everywhere? And you told in the press conference, now I will fight more than before. Why?
Yeah. What I wanted to express is that the mullahs, the Iranian criminal regime of the mullahs, they wanted to kill me, to get rid of me, and to scare other people that do. Also, they support very much the Iranian resistance. No? And I wanted to express clearly to them that I was not scared, and that I would continue with this work, because, first of all, I think it's my duty. No? Of course, this has family implications, no? Because imagine the suffering of my wife and my son and my two daughters during the weeks I was, you know. So I had a conversation with them. But they told me, on the opposite, we will support you fully. And that for me was an injection of energy, you know. And then I felt extremely reassured, and of course I will go on. In fact, just to show that this will was with me since the very moment of I woke up in hospital. Already in hospital, I wrote a letter to be read in the European Parliament in an event that was organized by the intergroup Friends of Free Iran in the European Parliament, and where many members of Parliament attended, and there was a speech by Mrs. Rajavi in this event, and also by the chair of Friends of Free Iran, who happens to be, co-president, because they have two presidents. One is Spanish, like me, and the other is from Slovenia. And this compatriot of mine, this Spanish member of parliament, he delivered also speech, and then he read my letter, no? And in this letter I was very clear, no? I advocated for a full change of the European policy in relation to the regime, because appeasement policy does not work. So I recommended a strong, firm policy, effective policy, and also I made clear that I will go on with this work, with this fight, and that were in Friends of Iran. They have supported me extraordinarily, and they have also continued the same work. So, and if you allow me, I think they are now even more motivated, because they have seen that this criminal regime has been about to kill one of them. And instead of getting scared, they have renovated their will to have regime change in Iran.
I would like to go back a little bit and ask you a question about your first meeting with the PMOI. Yes. When did you meet them, and what prompted you to decide to support this movement?
Well, when I arrived to the European Parliament, it was in 1999. I've been in national Spanish politics for 11 years or 12 years. And then I was asked by my party to run for the European election. Then I accepted, and I arrived to the European Parliament in July 1999, okay? And I was member until 2014, 15 years. During all this period, 15 years, I was vice president of the parliament. I was re-elected 6 times. And that means that they were happy with my work, no? Because if not, I would not have been re-elected so many times. So, well, when I arrived, after a few months, a socialist, because I'm not socialist, but a socialist member, Portuguese, Paulo Casaca, he approached me and said, Alejo, we are members of an intergroup called Friends of Free Iran, and we advocate and we advocate for regime change in Iran, and we support the main opposition group called the People's Mujahideen of Iran, or National Council of Resistance of Iran, that is led by an extraordinary woman, Mrs. Rajavi. So he started to explain to me, and he said, would you like to join us? No? Of course, in that time, my knowledge about Iran was let's say, modest, no? And he suggested me to meet with 2 representatives of the PMOI, Firuz Mabi and Hanif Asabayani. Hanif at that time was very young, very young. And they came to my office, and we had a long conversation.
It was, in fact, 20 years ago, exactly, in March 2004, when we first came to your office in Brussels on the 12th floor of the E building in the European Parliament, when you were the first vice president of the European Parliament. And I must say, I never forget my amazement when Alberto opened the door and showed us in. To my surprise, to a very humble, very noble, very intelligent, very sharp, and a very kind-hearted man who was unlike any other politician I had ever seen until then. And we always felt that this is a rock of support that we can rely on in all difficulties. I very well remember how you successfully helped us through and convinced us, together with Struan Stevenson and Paolo Casaca, to go for the resolution on Camp Ashraf in the European Parliament in 2009, where most all of us thought it would never happen, but it happened.
Professional journey is when he decided to become part of the big family of the PMOI and NCRI, especially after meeting Sister Mariam in Paris in 2004. As Alejo has said, that meeting was a turning point for him. Alejo, Struan Stevenson, and Paolo Casaca soon formed a successful team with excellent chemistry in leading the Friends of a Free Iran intergroup.
They gave to me documents and reports and some books. I remember the book of Muhammad Moghadessin, Enemies of the Ayatollahs, a book written long ago. And so they gave me very good information, and also we talk a lot. I must say that nowadays Firuz and Hanif are two of my best friends. So that was the beginning of an extraordinary friendship. And well, I started to get involved. I went to Ober-Sirois to meet Mrs. Rajavi. That was decisive because she's very charismatic, and she's also she has such a good heart, and when you know her, you immediately realize that this movement is worth to be supported. And then I started to get more and more and more involved, and I cannot tell you what I have done along these 22 years, because it would take hours. But the only thing I can say is that I have participated in hundreds of events, and I have written hundreds of letters to all the world authorities, from the President of the United States to the British Prime Minister to the President of the European Council. When the PMOI were in the blacklist, I worked a lot with many other people to delist them, and that was very long. It took 10 years to delist, but we succeeded in all these court cases in Paris, in London, in Luxembourg, and in Washington. We were so happy when we achieved the delisting. I remember this as one of the happiest moments in my life, because justice prevailed. And this is really comforting, reassuring. An injustice has been done, and the courts have acknowledged that this was unfair, and now the PMOI and CRI are delisted. They are now able to operate fully with no obstacles in the world, because they have been delisted by the courts. It was a moment of extraordinary joy. I remember it with emotion. After a short time, there was the first attack to Camp Ashraf in Iraq. So, unfortunately, happiness in this world does not last very long, because after this great happiness, we had this attack, ferocious attack, by the Revolutionary Guards that were embedded in the Iraqi forces. Many of our people were injured. There were also mortal victims. I have been spoken personally to some of the victims. I remember with a lot of pain that there was a young girl that offered me a present I still have at home in my office. That was a beautiful carving with flowers, because the people in the PMOI are so skillful in everything now. And it was so beautiful. And when I knew she was killed by these criminals, my heart really bled, because it's so terrible. So why am I so united to the PMOI? Because we have had moments of great happiness and of great pain together, no? And that creates a very solid link between human beings.